So welcome everybody to the second hour of MindShifters Radio. And today is Monday, September 25th, 2023. And our calling number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you in the queue to talk to us. And we'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And hard to believe, but 3 months from today will be Christmas. Time is just zipping right along. It seems like it goes faster and faster. Our days stay busy. We're still working in the garden. It's still producing marvelously. And we're getting some winter crops planted. We're planting bulbs for next spring in our pollinator garden. And so we're definitely staying busy outside, staying grounded. We actually watched a film last night, or night before last, the health benefits of grounding, going out and putting your feet in the ground, on the grass, in the dirt, and getting the energy from the earth and how it impacts the body. I'll have to find the title of that documentary that we watched, and I'll post it in the notes. But it was very interesting and talked about, it gave some examples of different people who had physical ailments or issues, their child was sick or whatever, and how they started just grounding, and that symptoms went away. And they even to the point of some people saying that they released weight over time by just grounding. That was the only change that they had made. So anyway, Michael and I get grounded every day when we go outside because we always go barefooted. And so it's phenomenal. So we are here to invite you to engage in the forgiveness process. Forgiveness not being, you and I interact and I become angry, but I forgive you for making me angry. That's not forgiveness. That's pardoning, which can have some good benefits. But forgiveness, true Aramaic forgiveness, is going inside, removing whatever's inside of us that doesn't belong, whether it's anger or fear or grief or pain or whatever, and getting back to being. We ask Aria all the time, what are we here for? And her immediate response is to be loved. And so getting back to being who we are, who we were designed to be. And so that's what the forgiveness process is about, is how to remove the energies that are in there that are less than love and that directs their behavior, whether it's conscious or unconscious. Some of those things are genetic, and so it's about how do you remove it? How do you go inside and make a difference? How can you make a change? And so that's what we are about, and this show is here to assist you. If you have questions, we've had, I was just pulling up my other email to see if I had any more questions from the app. I get a report not of who is on the app or how long they're on the app or what they do on the app or anything like that, but I do get a report from both Google and Apple of like how many times it's hit. I think they call it an instant or whatever, but it seems like it's being used more and more, and so that's awesome. And on each page of the app, you can ask a question. If you're in the middle of one of the worksheets and you have a question, click Ask a Question and write it down right then before you would forget. And it sends me an email, and then we answer that question on the show, and then I will send you back an email letting you know what day and time that we addressed your question. So that's an awesome feature that we've added to the app. And so it does look like more and more people are using it, and so we're excited about that. And so anyway, while I'm waiting on Michael to dial in, let me look and see if I've got any questions. I believe we answered all of them. Yeah, I don't have any new ones. So anyway, let me see if Michael's having challenges. We had several, it took them 3 days to answer me. I had submitted to Blog Talk tech support the other day when everybody was trying to dial in and they were getting a fast busy signal. And so they finally answered me today and said, thank you for your comments. And it's like, okay, but it seems to be working now. But I'm going to welcome Michael to the show.
Thank you, dear heart, and welcome everybody. Delighted that you're here and that we get to move forward to the next level. I received a cool picture from someone yesterday who had introduced a friend of theirs to the work who's a therapist, and their friend had sent them a picture of a stack of 750 worksheets that they'd done in the last couple of months. They've been on go as a therapist and really putting tools to work. So pretty cool to see a stack of 750 completed worksheets. And of course, the objective of this work is to come to the point where you really dig in and do the work. The gentleman who had introduced this therapist to the worksheet process had shared with me that his friend had said, well, how many of these worksheets do I have to do anyway? Or how long do I need to do them? And he shared that his sponsor in AA, when he asked how long you have to go to these meetings, the sponsor said to him, you're going to have to go to the meetings until you want to go to the meetings. and I thought that was a really good answer. That was the same answer that he gave to this gentleman when he asked, how many of these worksheets will I do? How long will I do them? It becomes a lifetime process, a lifetime commitment. And Terry, the gentleman who'd introduced him, had shared with me that when he heard that from his friend, and he'd actually introduced this gentleman, I believe it was about 15 years ago, and he sort of toyed around with it, but had seriously gotten down and gotten into it. It re-inspired Terry, who's been doing this work for 20-some years now. He actually spent 2 years at Heartland on the support team, and really, like, this has made monumental changes in his world and in his life, his reality structure. So that's what we're here to support. That's what we are here to inspire. So I hope you're inspired to put the pen to the paper and use the tools. And Miss Jeanie, do we have any hands up in the phone queue? Anything happening in the chat? Oh, let's say hello.
And it's Miss Julia 360. You're on the air. How are you feeling, young lady?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm kind of tired today. It's rainy, cloudy, and I'm having a hard time waking up, even though it's 10
one of those lazy kind of days, eh?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you questions. Like, I really should be doing a worksheet on. I haven't, and I should, but I wanted to ask you some questions on the United States sending so much money to Ukraine, and I allow this to upset me. I upset myself over this situation. I have a goal that I don't think our tax dollars should be going to fund wars of any kind, let alone trillions and trillions of dollars going to, fighting Russia, giving money to a country that's fighting Russia, or any country at all. But one of the questions, one place that I struggle with the worksheet is punishing. Like, I wanted to ask you, do you have like a list of ways we punish ourselves? How am I punishing, and how do I want to punish somebody else?
Jeanie, is there a list? I don't recall ever doing a list on forms of punishment, but the list would be pretty much endless, I would suspect.
the closest we've got to it is in the new Power Person worksheet, and I don't know if you've gotten to that part of the codependence. When you do, we'll send you that new. It's only used during the intensive, but it has a big list of punishment thoughts. But I have found that one of the main punishment thoughts that people seem to have, I mean, if they're honest, they'll say, you know, I'd like to choke them, or I'd like to kick them, or yell at them, or whatever. But the biggest one is, I'm going to withdraw. I'm going to leave. I'm going to, you know, whether it's mentally or geographically or whatever, just not think about it or whatever. That's avoidance, and that's a punishment to them and you.
Yeah, I think that's one of my top punishments, is to just shut down, shut the conversation off and just go in and void it.
You just disappeared for me. Michael, can you hear?
Oh, are you still there? Are you there, Julia?
Your signal must have dropped. You're still on the switchboard, but we can't hear you.
Anyway, the silent treatment is a very common, and many people, you know, when they'll say, well, I don't want to punish them, I just want to leave. And they think that leaving, abandoning someone is not punishment, when it's one of the most profoundly painful punishments that most people experience. And as far as, you know, the way you were languaging, you caught yourself in the middle of, you know, being disturbed about that. And the best way that I've found to approach is to recognize that whatever this situation or circumstance is, it shows me the part of me that's disturbed. It shows me the part of me that's agitated, upset, angry, afraid, whatever it happens to be. And when I can acknowledge that it shows me that, as opposed to standard cultural response of it makes me, you know, it makes me angry. You know, of course, nothing can make you angry if there's no anger in there. And so just recognizing that this, that, or the next thing gives me the opportunity to forgive my anger, and usually underneath the anger, because anger is a drug itself, there's usually pain. And once you start letting go of the anger, then the pain begins to surface. And behind that pain, you know, shy of, you know, somebody dropping a rock on your head or what have you, there's always a thought disorder. There's always an energetic thought pattern that's out of harmony with truth. And the reason why one would want to get rid of energetic thought patterns that are out of harmony with truth is that whenever they are active, they tend to interfere with guidance. So let's say the circumstance you're talking about, or any other circumstance, if there is something for you to do about it, something you can effectively do about it, generally speaking, the condition of upset that's moving will inhibit the ability for you to hear your guidance on what there is to be done about whatever the circumstance is. So acknowledging and recognizing that this shows me something that's inside of me that I'm ready to be responsible for and get rid of, as opposed to the cultural language of they made me sad, they made me afraid, they hurt me, they upset me, they disturbed me. Oh, I have disturbance, I have hurt, I have upset in me, so now I recognize that these events in the world show those things to me, and it is the presence of those energetic patterns and the thought disorders behind them that keeps me from having access to higher guidance that would empower me to really be able to do something, hence the reason for doing the forgiveness process. Hope that makes sense. And are you back, Julie? Well, I think we lost her. Is she still on the switchboard, sweetie? Jeanie?
I had to wake up my phone. Yes, she's still on, so hopefully she's hearing you, but we can't hear her.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And Julie, if you want to hang up and maybe try dialing back in again to see if we can recapture your voice, because we've lost you, and that's not the best thing. So if you can hear me, maybe try hanging up and dialing back in and see if we get a voice connection back.
Hello?
You're back.
Hello? That was so
We got
weird. I was just like talking, and then I didn't hear anything if you responded back to me, because it was just like all of a sudden I heard some silence. And I thought, that's strange, and because I usually hear a little bit of background noise when I'm talking to you, and then some other man's voice was like saying, hello, 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 and then I was like, hello, hello.
That's weird.
Am I on some other radio show now? And then he couldn't hear me. So I think maybe if there was someone else in the queue to come onto your show, it was him, but I don't know. It's just like, so I didn't hear where I was talking, saying, and anyway, so I didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, okay. Well, I was mostly pointing out I was mostly pointing out the piece where you kind of caught yourself, where you started to say it upsets me, whatever the exact language was, and then you proffered that you allowed it to upset you, and I was just pointing out that a good way to language that is to recognize that this event in the world is showing me something inside of me that is based in a thought disorder if I'm in upset or disturbance, and this is my opportunity to get rid of that upset or disturbance, because it's the thought disorders behind the upset and disturbed mind that inhibit our ability to receive higher guidance. People talk about intuition, and in certain arenas, their intuition will be right on track. In other arenas, there is no intuition whatsoever, because where there are unresolved thought disorders in regard to a particular event, those thought disorders will interfere with the subtler energy of guidance. And so that would be one of the reasons. That's the crux of what I was sharing and saying.
So me thinking about that situation and having a reaction to it is my data. There's something in me that I need to look at and work on.
Correct.
And find, find my goal and cancel that.
Yeah, if there weren't upset or anger or sadness or fear about something that the mind, that the mind says is about something, if it weren't in there, then it wouldn't be part of whatever that something is. The event that we're not approving of or not wanting to accept happens, and if there's nothing to be resonated in me by it except no, then I'm going to be able to hear if there's something I can actually do. I'm going to hear my guidance as to what to do about it. Whereas in the arena where things are unresolved, guidance is pretty much trash for most people. So I'd support you doing the forgiveness work around getting rid of that particular form of disturbance, and then go back and revisit the event and see what your guidance is. Maybe, maybe you've got the right tone and voice to key into that or any other circumstance and change it. You might be the one person in the world, and that guidance isn't going to be available to you if there's unresolved hostility or fear. So yes, I do some worksheets around it and see what moves out of the way. And the worksheets that could be done around a situation like that. You could do worksheets around taxes, just taxes in general, and you could do worksheets around maybe waste, because that's of course a big conversation about taxes. You could do worksheets around supporting others, in this case countries, worksheets around support. So there are a number of arenas that would probably be beneficial to do worksheets in. And usually especially where there's a strong disturbance, kind of disturbance in the field around something. It's not usually just a single thought that's creating that. It's a whole complex of thoughts. And that's why oftentimes it will take more, sometimes many more than just one worksheet to work through a particular disturbed pattern, because it's a whole complex of thoughts that go into producing that particular form of disturbance or upset. And until each thought disorder is addressed and forgiven, then that form of upset will tend to reflect and show up over and over and over again. So you may find yourself doing more than one worksheet around it.
Yeah. So, and then I had also been asking you about punishment. I want to punish by or self by, and we had come up with withdrawal and shutting down, and Jeanie had mentioned a worksheet that I forget which worksheet it was.
Yeah, it's the Power Person worksheet. Jeanie, do you happen to have one handy on your computer? One of the most recent ones I sent you? I don't have my computer in front of me.
See if I can pull it up.
It's on the website?
No, actually it's not. It's one that's only part of the Codependency Interdependence Intensive.
Oh, okay, then I might have one in my thing, in my binder. What is it?
It's actually a 12,
title?
It's a Power Person worksheet, and it's actually a 12-page worksheet. That's why we don't put it on the website and put it out publicly.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
Okay. Yeah, that comes a little later in the intensive.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just writing down all the questions about different things that I hear.
Perfect.
And then I'll address Jeanie with them later sometime, I don't know. But the things that I'm, I'd love to be a part of the Facebook page. I don't know how to have access to that, because there's probably a lot of good information.
Okay, well, have you, usually when Jeanie sets up an intensive, she sends out an invitation to the Facebook page. You haven't gotten one?
Not for that. I mean,
okay.
I think I'm friends with
we'll
Jeanie,
make sure you do.
Okay, thank you.
Are you and Jeanie connected on Facebook?
I am friends with her. Yes.
Okay, so then she'll be able to send you that link or that invitation if you don't have it yet.
Yeah.
Were you able to pull that up, Jeanie?
Awesome.
Give us a second
I am searching on my computer for it, but I do have a copy of it where I worked on a Power Person. So let's see.
So we could run through that list. That's not something we've done on the show before. That would probably be an interesting exercise to go over the list that we developed for the Codependence Intensive.
Okay, under the Power Person tactics that I observe my Power Person do: deny, blame, dissociate, project. That's the first one. Dissociate, yell, scream, use the voice, quote unquote. Be cute or coy, distract, gaslight, lie, be insincere, deceptive, false religiosity, criticize self or others, degrade self or others, be covert, convey a different message with my voice tone than with my words, leave, escape, run away, go numb, greed, become self-absorbed, false pride, turn to entertainment, need to be right, make excuses, avoid emotions, stay in my head, intellectualize, unwilling to look within, dish out a daily dose of disapproval of self or others.
This would be, just a thought, this would be a list of avoidance slash potential punishments, not all necessarily punishments, but ways people avoid dealing with and push away the issues that they don't want to look at. Excuse me, Jeanie, go ahead.
Okay. Greed, self-absorbed, false pride, turn to entertainment, need to be right, make excuses, avoid emotions, stay in my head, intellectualize, unwilling to look within, dish out a daily dose of disapproval of self or others, be unfair, unkind, envy, cheat, attack, destroy, get even, vengeance, steal. OCD can be converted to OCB. Defensiveness, taking a position, puff self up,
OCB.
rage.
OCB probably deserves a little bit of an explanation, where OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, when one engages in forgiveness, what we offer is it then becomes OCB, an obsessive compulsive blessing. That circumstance actually gives you gifts rather than being a disorder. Excuse me again, sweetie.
Threaten, pressure, intimidate, use sarcasm, become controlling, have a tantrum, go silent, withdraw, run, hide, become abusive, physically, emotionally, or verbally, become boisterous, punish or harm others or self, fantasize punishment or harm, become a pleaser, self-terrorizing thoughts, terrorizing others with my thoughts, words, or actions, judge self, judge others, make up stories or lies about others or self to block the truth, never apologize, violent thoughts, behavior, entertainment again, never own or admit the truth, give in or give up, take the easy way, never show weakness, be vulnerable, rage, food, sugar, alcohol, legal drugs, illegal drugs, busyness to keep from looking, exercise, spending, shopping, sex, promiscuity, pornography, seduction, reading, criminality, laziness, games, television, entertainment, again, we need to adjust that, electronics, social media, violence, tell my story, irritation, spiritual rituals, criticize self or others, excess cleaning, mediation or meditation, transcend above the issue, frustration, gossip, complaining, workshop groupie, diversion, distraction, escapism, leaving, running away, fear-based concern about others, children, self, parents, the world, lack of trust, separate your life into pieces, obfuscation, create confusion, play the victim, drama queen or king, stories and or distractions to create avoidance, turn to a fantasy, make up facts to justify my conclusion, to make it believable to me or others. That's the end of that list.
That's awesome. That's a great list.
Before the day is out, I'm actually doing some editing on that worksheet. I've been working on it currently. I'll make sure to complete the edits, and I'll make sure that gets into an email to you today, Julia.
Oh, thank you.
So you'll have the whole worksheet.
I just finished today. I listened to relationship substitution, so that's how far I'm into it. I think I only have about 7 videos left.
Wow, you're rocking.
So, Yeah, but this is my first time, right? I'll be going through it again because it was later in the videos that I heard Jeanie say that each video like corresponds with these different worksheets that I have that I haven't done. So I'm like just kind of building the brain cells this first round, and then my second round, then I'll be diving deeper.
Then the third round, and then the fourth, and then the fifth, and then the sixth.
Yeah, then I might start understanding, right? Like, oh yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Well, my observation, Julia, over the years is that, you know, when you think about how massive this multi-generational database is that each of us carries around in our so-called body's mind, that it has generations upon generations upon generations upon generations of information. I mean, it's beyond what we can conceive as massive. If we were to compare it to computing power, we could take all of the super cray computers on the planet and put them together, and it would not approximate the storage capacity or processing power of one human form. So when you realize how massive it is, and ultimately what this work is about doing is changing its direction, the direction that thing's moving. And you know, when we hear Yeshua say, in order for you to live, you've got to die, he's not talking about physical death. He's saying there is a self based in this multi-generational database that is false, and it controls your life, and it's got to go. And its major attribute is inertia. And if you remember from physics class in high school, inertia is defined as a body moving in a particular direction at a particular rate of speed will tend to continue to move in that direction at that rate of speed until it's acted upon by an outside force. So you, as each of us wakes up to the truth of who we are, to being, you know, that first step in the worksheet, I, Michael, who am love, when I realize that's who I am, that I'm not this image of self stored in brain cells from that multi-generational database, and that sucker is moving where it's moving, and it does not change directions easily. My observation is, over the last 50 years of working with people, is that it literally takes people, and I'm talking about people who are tapping in and doing their work, anywhere from 5 to 10 years to really dig in and comprehend what it is that we're talking about. And we're talking about changing the direction of the whole process of this, what we'll call the non-being mind, and removing its root traumas so that the changes that take place there become the outside force that shifts the whole direction of where this thing is going, this what we'll call the non-being self. And making room for, through deletion of the aberrant content, making room for the true mind, the true state of being, what was called the mind of Christ, the mind of love, to show up in our physiology, especially in challenging circumstances. Especially where, you know, and you'll notice that, you know, nobody is ever, unless somebody's just a generally miserable person, nobody's ever upset while everybody in their environment is achieving all the goals that they have for them. You know, everybody's pretty happy with most everybody if their goals are being achieved. And that's why the goal, identifying specifically what the goals are, and then canceling the goals, is what collapses the output of this multi-generational database, whose main attribute is inertia, and start to coax it and move it in a different direction. And it's a process that takes time. So each time you go through that, you know, when we did the that codependence intensive, actually there are two intensives that are wired together in that self-study program that you bought. And to that worksheet that I'm talking about that I'll send you, that I'm still working on because it's a whole new piece of information that started with those two intensives. We actually extended the intensive by about, I think it was 3 weeks when we started to work with that. Instead of a 14-week intensive, it ended up being 17 weeks because that's where that worksheet, it came out of the flow of back-to-back codependence to interdependence Zoom intensives, and I'm still working on it because it's a totally new piece of information, as well as the the communication. Did you hear what I think I said? For the 25 or more years that I've been teaching the workshop called Communication, did you hear what I think I said? The worksheet's been a single page. It was a young lady whose favorite tool, Magda, you perhaps heard her on the show before, her favorite tool pretty much has always been that worksheet. And she and Chuck volunteered to be the example in the intensive using that worksheet. And it was really her dedication and her interaction and discoveries that opened up, moving it from a one-page sheet that it had been literally for a quarter of a century to where now it's a 3-page worksheet. So, the developing of the brain cells and the insight and the understanding is an ongoing process, and every time I interact with it, there's another, oh, gee, how could I have missed that? Oh, why didn't I see that? Didn't have the brain cells for it. And, until we have the brain cells, the mind cannot, when they talk in the scriptures about the mind of man, it speaks of the mind of man has not conceived of what lies in store. Why not? Because we don't have the brain cells for it. And the whole process, the major part of the process is building brain cells for the unseen, the unconceived, and in many cases, the hidden, the denied and dissociated parts of the mind. So you're right on track with going through it and getting ready to go through it again and start putting the pen to the paper on the worksheet. That's really what it's all about, is building the brain cells. So congratulations.
Thank you, and thank you for doing this work, and for you and Jeanie, your organization of it, putting it all out there in a way that someone like me, just new to this, and can even absorb it, even make any sense of it. But it does, I really resonate with it, and I really feel in my heart that this is the work I want to do, and however long it takes.
That's awesome.
And then, like you said, I've heard you say before, like, you'll never get it done, and you'll always be doing it, and that's fine. And it all happens in the now anyway, and
yes.
It's like we're like onions, we're just layers of layers of layers. There's not a veil, there's veils, many veils, many curtains.
Yeah, I like the idea of the lotus flower. Peeling an onion gets pretty nasty for the eyes and the sinuses and such, but opening the lotus blossom is a good image too, to keep it, just keep it opening. And the ongoing process is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think they
pretty
call
amazing.
it 1,000 petal. There's like 1,000 petal lotus at your heart. And
right.
I've heard that before.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Awesome, young lady. Well, any other thoughts for you?
I think I'm complete right now, and I'll be absorbing this and listening to it again.
Awesome. All right, lots of love and blessings.
Yes,
Julia, I just sent you an invite to 2 different Facebook pages, the Codependence to Interdependence, and then also Healing Through Food. And then if you look back through, and it may have fallen into your spam, a lady named Urate sent you an invite back in July for the Trello app.
Okay, yeah, I got that. I downloaded the Trello, and I'm not sure if I joined the Facebook page for Urate's food, but I will now for sure.
And I
cool.
just sent you an invite on Facebook.
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm 8 days sugar-free, and I still haven't been drinking, coffee. So I'm changing my eating habits and getting rid of some addictions layer by layer.
Nice. Well, and remember that as you especially let go of the addictions, there'll be what the addictions have been covering that are going to have to surface, and just remember to breathe and keep on track, keep doing the right things until those energetic patterns are just totally and completely gone. Finish with them.
Yes. Yes, I will. I am. And thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. You guys have a beautiful day. Take care.
It's in the plan. All righty. Bye-bye.
Yay. Bye.
And we do have another hand up, and I don't have this number listed, so let's see who our caller is. It's area code 864. You are on the air. Who do we have?
I think you got me. Is it me?
Well, hey there.
Who is? Yeah.
Now we need to make sure we get your proper introduction, right?
Please do.
Everybody, this is Joe. We have a picture of him posted on our poster board here. I know you can't see it because this isn't a TV medium, but we do have a picture of Joe, and he's outstanding in a field because that's what Joe is. This is Joe, and he's outstanding in his field.
Hi, Michael, I'd like to thank you for having me on the show today. I really would. Jeanie as well. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here.
How come I don't have this phone number on you? Is it a new number?
Oh, yeah, it is. New number. Yep. So now you have it. Now that's it. It's out. It's out in the open. And I didn't. I'm just glad to be here. I guess I wanted to at least share with you after listening to the previous caller, which is just so gratifying to know the sisters and brothers out there doing the work.
I'm with you on that.
You know how difficult it is to let go, to change, and I don't even want to say that out loud. It really, because it is just a mindset. It's not as difficult as I certainly make it to be. I want to make it difficult. Oh yeah, it's difficult. No, it just do my worksheets, do my work, practice, and it just gets better and better. Or the peace, the vastness becomes full of peace, and peace, profits, and purpose. How about that? That's my latest.
Yeah, go for it.
Jeanie, that's one of Michael's favorite. We ought to probably put that in a quote, and that is, it goes like this. I'll imitate Michael. You ready?
I'm ready.
Go for it. Go for it.
I just did.
I missed it.
Well, expand upon that, Joe, from an experiential person and going through it. I'm actually dealing with a person right now, and one of his comments almost every time I work with him is, "This is so hard."
Oh gosh, it and it's really, Mike brought up the lotus, and you think about, oh sure, it makes so much sense because of the mud. That mud, you get your feet, you get your hands in there, and your whole, next thing you know, you just can't. This is hopeless. I can't get this mud off me. And that's not true. It's just really what's interesting to me is the setup, and I really do think we have a lot of setup, or I do, I guess, in terms of I've set this up a certain way based on what I learned, and that word collapsing or deleting, I've heard that one today. Collapse, delete, those those schematics, collapse and delete those methods that you thought worked. And they may have worked, but not as well as forgiveness, the results, or the, again, to spread my wings, for lack of a better metaphor, or to spread the peacefulness in the vastness of my space, and breathe, and all those wonderful things to to work towards. Or, and there it is again, even in our language, my languaging makes me, or helps with this misconception. And it's certainly one of the beauties of your work, is to say, hey, let's cut the chaff here. Let's get right to the seed here, and to the root. That's the other thing I come up for me recently is, the ground is the ground and everything, but there's roots down there, and that's where I want to go. I want to be at the root level, root analysis. But it's always difficult when you're out standing in the field. I mean, it's just not easy being me, all right? I mean, I think I've established that. Anybody? I lost you?
Well, all I can say, Joe, is somebody has to do it, right? And it takes somebody that can fill big shoes, right? I mean, somebody with big feet. That's what I really meant to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Broad shoulders and big feet. Okay.
Amen, brother. Amen.
What fun.
Yep. What else is new? Anything good?
We're just rolling along.
Cool.
All things moving forward.
All right.
Spend time in the garden again this morning, and rock and roll.
Oh, how about leafy green smoothie? What's your recommendation on something? What's the best thing to throw in a smoothie that's green?
Oh, we've done lettuces. You can do spinach.
Yeah.
Kale is probably one of the more popular ones for smoothies.
Right. Kale's just something
and
else.
Best to make it organic kale if you can. Best to make it
we use the green powder
organic
sometimes.
kale.
Oh, you got the green powder too? Okay. All right, got to run. Thank you.
All right, have a blessed one. All right,
thanks, guys. Bye. Love you.
You too. Bye-bye. And we have another hand up, and this one is Miss Magda.
Awesome.
And it's
great. Let's say hello to Miss Magda.
Well,
I just took your name in vain a few minutes ago, so.
Yeah, it reminded me, Michael, that I need to go through that and listen to that again, because I learned so much.
Yeah, we'll probably have a whole other set of gifts for you.
I know, always. So the reason I'm calling in is because I wanted to check with you on punishment thoughts. You've been talking about that this morning with Julia. And in terms of self-punishment, I got to the place in my worksheets where I realized everything I do that keeps me out of love, out of the space of love, is self-punishment. And that is the common denominator of anything else. Because it used to be, lots of times the behavior that I would write down there was that I wanted to scream and yell and then think badly of myself, and so forth, things like that. But I just got to the point where it seemed like, okay, all of that is on the surface, but the real punishment is that I'm not in the space of love. And that's what I'm really doing to myself. So
I've given up my human life.
Yeah. Right.
That's it. I made something more important by making something more important than my connection to my source.
Yeah.
I've given up my human life. That, to me, that takes me back to that story that is so powerful about those two young men in England who bought and raised this lion until they couldn't handle it any longer. And the lion's name was Kristen the Lion. If anybody hasn't watched it, look it up on YouTube, Kristen the Lion. And they literally raised this cub in a churchyard in London. I don't know whether it was exactly in London, but in that area. And when the lion got too big, they shipped it off, made arrangements, and shipped it off to a preserve in Africa. And about a year later, they wanted to go visit their lion, and the people who ran the preserve were like, "You can't do that. This thing is a wild beast. We've got a collar on him. We track him, and he's got his own pride. And if you showed up here, he'd tear you to pieces." And they said, "Well, we want to come visit our lion." And they track it, and the people who run the preserve literally send a driver out with a high-power rifle because they know they're going to have to kill this lion. And they get within, with the tracking device, gets them within, a close distance where they can hear, and they're calling this lion, and this lion comes charging at them and jumps up all over them like a long-lost friend with a kitten. Mm-hmm. This huge male lion. And for me, the most powerful part of that video is when the female, who's totally, completely wild, comes along with this lion. And normally, the female's the huntress. She would take those guys out in a heartbeat and walks over and lets them pet her like a kitten in that space of love. And when we give up that connection, all kinds of crazy things happen. But, to me, the possibilities in that are just so profound and endless. It's amazing.
That is that part of the story, a part of the real story that actually happened. It just brings tears of joy to my eyes and feelings of such gratitude to my heart every time I hear it. It's like this is the possibility that we all have when we are holding love, being love, and radiating that. This is the possibility. It's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. And to see that, normally what this female lion would do, there's nothing that even resembles what people would think of as this wild female lion's behavior. And why? To me, the only conclusion you can come to is her mate, the lion they raised, is that space with these two men, and these two men are that space with that lion, and she totally is transformed by it. And there's the power of it.
I know. It's gorgeous. Okay, well then, so I guess what I'm hearing is that I'm on the right track in regards to...
Sounds like 1,000% to me.
Okay.
Actually, one of the earlier worksheets used to have in it the question, what's my error? And it's one of the pieces that I ended up ultimately dropping out of the worksheet. But the error is I made this goal, more important than being connected to my source.
Yeah, right.
Gave up my human life.
Which brings up the story of the rose and the butterfly.
Yes. Yep.
A good illustration of that. Yeah. Okay, good.
It is.
Good. Well, I just wanted to check that out. I've never checked that with you before. It did seem totally right when I discovered that for myself. So, good.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, I want to acknowledge you for your willingness and the way you transformed that worksheet when you did that piece in the intensive. It was just so profoundly powerful, and then so the upshot of it was just mind-boggling. So thank you.
You are so welcome. I don't know if I ever told you, but I had a lot of worksheets to do after that experience because I really.
I remember what came up.
A lot.
I remember. Yeah, that was big. That was major.
And a lot of that for me was embarrassment, because I truly thought that I knew how to use that process correctly. Ha 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 ha. So it was great that you all stuck with me through that. It was a long process, and it was incredibly good. Thank you.
Well, I am most appreciative of the fact that you were willing to go for it, because it was your action that brought the transformation in the next level into existence with it. So.
I guess we were all supposed to meet up at that time and place to do that, weren't we?
There you go. That's it. That is
okay,
it for sure.
I'm going to sign off and wish everyone a bunch of happiness and joy and stay in love. Yeah.
Okay, well, tell Chuck we said hello and give him a hug for us.
I will. Thank you, dear. Bye-bye.
Heidi, take care. Bye-bye.
So we have 5 minutes. We've got time for a quick question. 563-999-3581. Press 1. Not everybody at once.
And if we don't have a question, then I'm going to just talk a little bit about the communication. Did you hear what I think I said? Worksheet and process. And delineate the difference. This is a perfect place to plug it in. It'll only take about 5 minutes, but to delineate the difference between what we identify in that workshop as projection communication, and then the tool that takes us into what we call responsibility communication. Recognizing that perception is a construct of the mind. You know, again, and I say this often, but it's a process of building brain cells to really comprehend it. We say, I looked out through my eyes like I have 2 peepholes in my head that I can see what's going on in the world. That's one of the biggest falsehoods that's ever been told to humanity. You do not have 2 peepholes through which you look out into the world. You have 2 receivers or antenna, and the light energy that comes into your eye sets up a resonance in your brain, and according to what's stored in your multi-generational database called the body-mind unit, your mind generates a construct we call reality or perception. What most people do is that construct in their minds, because they think they're actually looking at something out there, they describe it in terms that imply that they believe that what's going on in their brain is actually what's happening out there. And that's called projection communication. Now, the shift that takes place with that particular workshop is to move into responsibility communication. And responsibility communication looks like I have a reality in my mind, and I describe it as though I know that it's mine, it's internal to me, and I'm responsible for it. Actually, a good example started early in the show when we were speaking with Julia, and she said something to the effect of how whatever it was created a disturbance or upset. So when I say, you make me mad, through my sensory apparatus, information comes in that resonates hostility in me, my drug, and that hostility moves because I refuse to own it, I deny ownership of it, I make pictures of other people. So what's projection communication look like? You made me mad. So we addressed that earlier in the show. The alternative to that, when you move into responsibility communication, everything changes. Now all of a sudden it's the realization that what you did brought up anger in me. Now I've moved from projecting it, see, you're the cause of my anger, to recognizing that my anger is something that's inside of me, it's internal to me, it's generated by my own mind. And when I communicate that I'm responsible for it and own it, I have the opportunity to change it if I don't like it. Whereas if I live in the game of projection communication, you made me mad, you made me sad, you made me afraid, then there's really nothing I can do about my mad, my sad, or my afraid, because of course it's caused by you. So the difference of night and day when you actually shift into responsibility communication. And the show just informed me that we're down to the last minute or so I'm just going to say thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hope that fits and makes sense and is helpful for you. Have a blessed one. Bye-bye.